I want to take a moment and directly address the question, should you carry a round in the chamber? Because that's a great question. Especially a lot of new gun owners out there, millions of new gun owners out there. And this was a question I've actually entertained in my own mind for many years, and many other people have apparently as well, because it's a pretty predominant question out there in the gun world. Should you carry one in the chamber? Let's just say that depends. It depends on several things. And I'm going to start with it depends on the type of firearm you're using. So for example, I'm going to break down this discussion into 3 different handgun types: double action only, double action single action, and then single action only. So double action only, I believe, is by far the safest way to carry, and you should absolutely carry one in the chamber with double action only, because it takes a long, hard double action pull to get that trigger back. You have to purposely be pulling that trigger pretty hard. I've even met a few people that can't pull some double action triggers. It takes about 10 to 20 pounds of pressure to put onto that trigger all the way through, anywhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, to get that shot to fire, and then every round after that would be just like that. So those are very safe guns. Definitely carry one in the chamber there, with the other variables in mind we'll talk about after these 3. Double action, single action. That first pull is double action only. After that, every pull is single action, which means that first pull is that long, hard double action pull, which means as you pull it, it pulls the hammer back, and then there's a point where it lets it go, and then everything after that, the hammer's just back. I believe that is very safe to carry one in the chamber. And then there's single action only, and here's where I start to put some question marks on it, and this is just me personally. Single action only means the hammer is back, ready to go. Or if it's a striker fired gun, the pin is already pulled back with the spring and it's ready to be released. One of those two, either the hammer's back or the pin's back, one of the two. But all you gotta do is release that, and the momentum is, the energy, the potential energy is already there. And all you have to do is let go of it, and then that energy is gonna cause that gun to fire. So some people struggle with single action only. Now there's 2 types of single action only. There's single action with a manual safety. That would be like a 1911. That's where you carry it, the hammer's back, it's single action only, but you have a manual safety. Then there's things like Glock, which is single action only, striker fired, but no manual safety. Those, I'm not real comfortable carrying those around. Typically, if you YouTube people accidentally shooting their guns, it's usually with the Glock for some reason. But I believe it's because it's a strike-fired pistol that does not have a safety. So to kind of go back to those, the way I feel. Now you may, generally I would say I'd carry one in the chamber in all of these, but there's some other variables there. So you got a double action only. I would always carry one in the chamber. I would have no problem with that at all. With or without a manual safety. Double action, single action, same thing. I'd carry one in the chamber regardless of whether it has manual safety. Actually, I prefer both those do not have manual safeties, because it's that long, heavy first pull. You got to pull that hammer all the way back. So you got to cause the energy, the potential energy, to exist first before it is released. Then the single action, that potential energy is ready to go, and that's the one where I'm just not comfortable enough. There's other options out there for me, so I'm just not real comfortable with that. Also, Glock was the #1 returned handgun by new gun owners out there, so I think that just speaks to it. Now, those are the variables when it comes to the trigger. So really what it comes to is, what is the action? Is it double action, single action, or just single action? Everything I feel comfortable carrying one in the chamber except for single action only, without a manual safety. That being said, how you're retaining that handgun is huge. If you have a good holster that guards over that trigger, I think you're fine, regardless of what these are. Most people that accidentally shoot themselves with Glocks are typically reholstering it, meaning they're putting it in the holster and it gets caught on some clothes or it gets caught on something. and causes it to fire, or they just don't think and put their finger on it. It just causes it to fire. But those double actions, you'll never accidentally cause them to fire. So all those guns in a nice retained holster will never fire. You're not going to have any issues with any of those ever. I guess in the end, I would never carry a gun without one in the chamber, I think, ever. In the end, I just don't think I would ever carry a single action gun without a manual safety. So you'll never find me carrying a gun without one in the chamber. And if I'm concerned about the gun itself, carrying one in the chamber, I just won't carry the gun, I guess is what it comes down to. So there you go. I feel comfortable carrying any gun out there with one in the chamber, with the exception of single action only, without safeties. It's just me. I'm a work in progress. Most disagree. Glock's a very popular pistol. Just me personally. So that's what I think about carrying one in the chamber, but generally speaking, I would always have one in the chamber if you're carrying a gun. It's just if you don't feel comfortable with that gun, carrying one in the chamber, get a different gun. That's what I do. So any thoughts or insight on that, put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.